With that, I'm going to be now introducing Steve Jennings. He is our Associate State Director for Advocacy. And Steve is going to be talking with Commissioner Lea Marquez Peterson from the Arizona Corporate Commission. So Steve, with that, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much, Alex. And it's an honor to have Chair of the Arizona Corporation Commission, Lea Marquez Peterson, with us today. Chairwoman Marquez Peterson has served on the Corporation Commission since 2019. She was President and Chief Executive Officer of the Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for nearly 10 years. She's a graduate of the University of Arizona and Pepperdine University. She resides in Tucson and is married with 2 children. Commissioner Marquez Peterson will make comments on utility issues she considers significant to residential utility customers. Madam Chairwoman, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Steve, and I hope you can hear me okay. Wonderful. Well, really appreciate the invitation to address AARP and to follow such distinguished colleagues. That was wonderful to listen to the end of their presentation. I wanted to start by just telling folks watching and listening right now a little bit about the Arizona Corporation Commission. They may have heard of it, but maybe not quite clear what we do. We are a board of 5 members of the commission that are elected statewide. I'm honored to have been elected this last November. And I'm the only commissioner based outside of Maricopa County, and actually, as Steve mentioned, live in Tucson. At the commission, we regulate the utility industry. So that includes electricity, water, gas, and wastewater. We manage railroad and pipeline safety, and we incorporate all the businesses in the state and protect Arizonans against security fraud. So that's a mouthful, but you can imagine all the different cases and issues before us. I'm often asked, what do we do on a daily basis? What are we up to? And we're tackling some pretty big issues. We see 70 to 80 rate cases a year from around the state. So prior to the pandemic, I was doing a lot of driving and traveling to all the corners of the state to meet with communities. And I heard your last question to the legislators, and it also makes it a little easier with Zoom, but I certainly miss being out and about seeing folks face to face too. But we are also talking about some really important issues, I believe, to AARP. That is our energy rules. If you may recall or read in the paper, the last time Arizona set renewable energy standards was in 2006. So that was a long time ago. And we have been debating and discussing over the last 4 years Arizona's energy rules. And so we're continuing to move forward on those items. And we can talk more about that, Steve, if you'd like. We also have really responded quite a bit to the COVID pandemic and really put protections in place for folks across Arizona in terms of not disconnecting services and enhancing low-income programs, and really trying to better communicate about programs from all the different utilities, whether that be electric or water or so on. And that's led to continuing conversation about our disconnection rules in the state of Arizona. We know it started to heat up. I know even in Tucson, we hit 90 degrees this weekend. So as we go into the summer, how are we prepared to ensure that vulnerable folks in Arizona are not going to be put at great public health or safety risk because of their electricity being shut off? So we are tackling that even this week as we go forward with further commission meetings. We are very accessible. Folks can find us at azcc.gov. You can watch our meetings now in this virtual environment. Tomorrow we'll be meeting all day and probably all day on Wednesday also. And our photos and emails for the 5 commissioners are right there on the home page. So I want to encourage people to engage with us. And I'll turn it back to Steve. I don't know if you had particular questions you wanted me to address, or I can just keep telling you more about the commission.
Well, we've had one question come in, and you had mentioned security fraud, which isn't really about utilities. And this questioner was asking how much time the commission spends on utilities versus the other duties the Corporation Commission does.
So one thing to note is our commission has about 300 or so employees within the commission, and one of the key divisions is the securities division. So we're handling the licensing of everyone handling securities, and then we're also researching, investigating, and prosecuting in some cases when bad actors come to Arizona to take advantage of folks. On every agenda, we are seeing, unfortunately, probably 3 to 5 different cases of folks who have come to scam Arizonans, and we have caught them and we pursue them with civil penalties. If there is criminal prosecution involved, we partner with the Attorney General's office. So I don't know as a percentage what we spend, but we have an entire division and team of folks that are focused on this, you know, the entire year round.
I see. That's so very good. Thank you. And we've had another question come in on how the commission's procedures have changed with the COVID and everything being done virtually. What's different there now? Has it affected the operations?
But, you know, I'm very proud of how our team really pivoted to work with the public. We have a lot of people dependent on the services we provide, whether it's business and corporation. So doing it all online, we launched expediting services. So you can get it done within a day if needed, and really try to streamline those processes through the coronavirus. We were at it before the pandemic, and then certainly expedited all those processes during it. Related to the work we do in utilities, it makes it pretty easy to Zoom and to connect with folks throughout our utilities. Most people don't realize that we regulate more than 300 water companies in the state. Beyond the electricity companies, I'm sure you've heard of APS or Tucson Electric Power, and then the gas companies and wastewater. So I think the pandemic has really been an ability for us to communicate and to reach people quickly because we can do it via Zoom. It still doesn't replace being able to see people face to face, of course.
And then this one is more about, that came in is more about the judicial functions of the Corporation Commission, and wants to know if the 5 commissioners get together to decide what the right decision should be, and if that's how it's done.
That's a good question. So this is my first elected office. Prior to this, as Steve mentioned, I ran a Chamber of Commerce in Southern Arizona. So I also came to the commission. I was appointed initially by Governor Ducey, then I ran to keep my seat and won a 4-year term. But I also thought, how do we get things done at the commission with such complex issues that we're tackling? We are judicial / legislative in our roles, and we have a rule with open meeting law that we cannot get together and hash out details, and all is done in public. So I am the new chairwoman of the commission, so I set an agenda. It has the different items that we're going to be discussing. We work through these online folders called dockets that people can put letters in. AARP is very active in giving us their opinion on different issues that come before us. But you can always read everything in that folder online if you're interested in seeing all the letters from customers or from stakeholders and organizational groups. And we read through that information. We have our own 1 or 2 employees that work for each commissioner, vet through those items, and then all of our debate and discussion happens on the dais on that day during the open meeting. So it's all done open and publicly as it should be. So it's not like you would be serving on a nonprofit board and we're getting together. This is open meeting laws, and we can't have ex parte and different issues like that be before us.
What does ex parte mean? Wasn't that Latin you used right then?
That was, sorry. So in layman's terms, I would say if there are different parties to a case and something is being discussed like a court case, we cannot talk to one another because they're separate bodies within the case and they have a stake in the outcome. So we have to be careful, as in our judicial fashion, we are not stating opinion, support, or opposition to a case before it comes before us in the open meeting.
I see. And you mentioned you were, the commission was reviewing the energy rules. Can you give us some examples of those, or what's that about?
Yeah, good question. So I stepped in about 2 years ago on the commission, and the commission had already begun a lot of this debate and discussion. And so over time, during these open meetings, we would debate and kind of convert, I guess, some of the different ideas that came forward and determine whether this should be part of Arizona's energy future and the rules that are set. Because we are regulating the utility industry, the rules that we would put in place would be requirements for the utilities to move forward on. I've also had questions about Texas' recent energy crisis that occurred and what's different between Arizona and Texas. And it's because we are a regulated market here in the state of Arizona. So just very basically, when you moved into your home, you did not get a choice on electricity company or water company. They're monopolistic industries that are tied to a territory, which we approve. So that kind of sets the stage for our energy rules. After a lot of discussion and research and so on, we voted in November on 100% clean energy by 2050 with zero carbon emissions. We purposely, and I was proud to lead that effort, made it technology agnostic. So instead of telling the utilities, you will do it in this fashion with this type of technology, we left it broad because I've learned in my 2 years, there's so many new innovations and new technologies coming forth. I'm sure there will be great improvements as we move forward towards 100% clean energy. The utilities have very much embraced this effort. There are a lot of details in planning and reporting and requests for proposals, how vendors will engage in this in the future. All of that detail is part of the energy rules. But I'd say the headline is really around 100% clean energy by 2050 and zero carbon emissions.
Now, we've just, thank you for that, Madam Chairwoman. We've had another one come in, and it's about rural broadband and how much the need there is to have broadband in rural areas, and what can the commission do about that?
Great question, and it's actually something I'm very passionate about. We have limited jurisdiction related to telecommunications. So if you know a bit about the industry, the FCC at the federal government level manages their pricing and so on because they're a competitive industry. But we have a role in that we regulate the landlines that are decreasing. Certainly people are online. We have a universal service fund that is part of your phone bill, that money's collected to help reach high cost areas throughout the state. We also manage the 911 service and ensure that the telecom companies are providing that service properly and are held accountable for that. There are a lot of different pieces we get engaged in. At the beginning of the COVID pandemic, I joined a statewide broadband task force specifically focused on how we can find short-term solutions for the kids that were going back to home to go to school online and for people that were working like us on Zoom today. And it's been a great situation. It's been a group of there's some agencies at the table, telecom companies, stakeholders, nonprofit organizations like United Way and others. The libraries have been incredible heroes during the pandemic at providing resources for free to families and children throughout the state. So it's an area in which I continue to push and prod and to see how can the commission play a role in expanding broadband, especially to rural and tribal communities, which are really some of those that are struggling the most to get that broadband availability out to their communities. We have on our agenda actually tomorrow an Arizona Universal Service Fund item. I will be presenting to my fellow commissioners on kind of the history of that fund and opening up for different options that we can consider for a better utilization of that fund. So if you're really interested in this, you can tune into our meeting tomorrow at azcc.gov.
Now, they're putting in the chat for me that we have about 2 minutes left, so we will need to move quickly. And we've had a question come in about what is the Corporation Commission's meeting. I think it refers to an open meeting. What is an open meeting?
Yeah, good question. So we're using this open meeting. We do it once a month, and then we have a staff meeting once a month. They're usually 20 to 30 different items related to rate cases or policies or rules we're putting in place related to our utilities or telecom or securities or businesses. And all of that is on the agenda. It's totally open to the public. So you can watch it online and you can email us questions. It's not usually live response. It'll be in the docket that we can read. But you can reach all 5 of the commissioners, again, through the website, azcc.gov. Our open meeting starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. and our staff meeting starts the next day at 1 p.m. As likely our open meeting will probably last over 2 days. But I encourage everyone to weigh in and certainly give us your input on any items that we're addressing that impact your home, your community, your family.
And you can watch an open meeting on the Corporation Commission's website. There's a link to open meetings and for that day, and you can tune in and out and have it on in the background or whatever. Is there anything else you'd like to tell folks, Madam Chairwoman? We sure appreciate you taking the time to share your thinking with us.
No, I'll just offer that as commissioners, as the world hopefully starts opening up again, as more folks are vaccinated or more comfortable, we are available to do public speaking. So if you're in a Kiwanis group or Rotary or Chamber and you're looking for public speakers on Arizona's energy future or any of the different topics I touched on, please reach out to one of us on the commission. We would love to come address your community.
Okay, well, that's great. Thank you ever so much, and best of luck with many of the tough decisions you're faced with there as the chair of the Corporation Commission, and we appreciate your work. So thank you very much.